Welcome to the Creative Plan Podcast Network. Join us as we share our favorite RPGs, one-shot games, tabletop games, reviews of items, and convention panels, and other exciting things that we run into from time to time. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hi, this is Kelly, aka Trixie from Ragnarok and Roll, a Sign to Ragnarok story, and Tilda Wimblewick from D&D Journey of the 5th Edition. First off, I would just like to say thank you to everyone for listening to our varied adventures, as well as for rating us on iTunes and RPGpodcast.com. If you haven't rated us yet, we would greatly appreciate it if you could. And if you're looking for more ways to support our efforts, we are now on Patreon, a great site where you can help us continue making more podcasts, as well as some special surprises for our patrons. If you can, please look us up at www.patreon.com/cppn. Every little bit helps. And again, thank you for listening.
In this crowd, there might be a week or two of gaming experience. So for August the 13th is Mystery.
Ooh, I have a good one.
Mystery.
So you want like a story that's related to RPGs?
Anything RPG related, tabletop gaming.
So for me, this was back in the 90s when we were playing Shadowrun.
Oh.
And it's actually where my handle for my BBS days comes from, because it was my favorite freaking character. She was an elven street samurai. Her name was Twilight. And we played the Mission Blood, what are those called?
The module?
The module, yeah. It was the Mission Blood module. And I was playing with a bunch of dudes. Franklin was the GM. And we had this mystery that we had to solve about what... I can't remember the whole story about how it happened, but, like, all the dudes were just all about, like, killing things and being stupid. And I was like, no, we need to, like, investigate this.
There's, like, a thing here.
Yeah, there was, like, this crazy mystery going on. And just to let you know, the Mission Blood module was a PC killer. It was designed to kill characters.
A Shadowrun Tomb of Horrors.
Yeah.
I like this one.
Yeah.
This is a good
And
story.
so, like... They would go off and they were like, oh, we're going to go chase after this thing and go kill something. And then I was like, well, you guys are stupid. So I split the party, which, you know, you never do.
She yells at
Or
me
you
for that.
always do.
But, right? But they were being so annoying. And I would go and I did a bunch of investigations. And I was actually the one that propelled the story along until the end, where we found out what it was, which was bug spirits. And
that
then,
was the ant one,
like
right?
the smart character that I was, so my character, because I was an Elven Street Samurai, I had an Ingram Smart Link, which I could, like, shoot from any angle, and, like, I could see, like, to here. I don't want to hit Franklin.
Uh-huh.
And I was killing everything just by, I was having really
nice
good rolls.
when your gun is in your head.
Right?
You know?
And so we get to the final boss, quote unquote, and I shoot it, and I'm like, yeah! And then it, tang, 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 and I was like, ugh! And I ran. And everybody else was like, we're gonna fight him! She's stupid! I was the only one that survived.
Yep. Hey, that means you survived to report it to fix the problem.
Didn't the guys get, like, really mad at you? For
Oh
doing
yeah,
that?
they accused him of letting me survive because I was a girl.
But you chose
She
to
was
leave.
smart. She left.
There's sometimes
But
when
that-
you just can't land a hit. You need to see the writing on the wall that this was not.
Well,
meant
that's
to
what
be
it was. Is the exactly that in that module, you either ran or died.
Yeah.
At the end, there was no in between.
Yeah, because more and more bug spirits would come in. Even if you killed the ones that were there, more were going to come in. It's just an unwinnable situation. You're supposed to turn around and leave.
The idea is to get help. Help is the successful mission. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
firearms just weren't very effective against spirits, so you have to use magic against
You're like,
them.
I need a shaman. I need an army of shamans.
Yeah. So we're doing a thing that's kind of like, you know what Inktober is?
Mhm.
So this is like for RPGs. So it's a prompt, and then you use from your experience in RPGs and tabletop games, something that reminds you of that prompt.
Oh, okay.
So, like in this one, it's mystery. Now, in regards to RPGs, what does mystery bring to your?
Well, I have to think. There's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is, most of the time I was running.
Well, maybe that was you creating the mystery.
Yeah, how do you maintain a good mystery? See,
Yeah.
that could be that thing.
Well, mainly it was really difficult to do that because players would always think of stuff that you didn't think of, so you have to work your way around it.
Especially when they shotgun ideas at the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was trying to think of a mystery. Probably the samurai game I was running, where basically the son of the shogun had been possessed by a demon, and they were trying to figure out what was going on. They thought there was a traitor in there that was giving away their like troop movements and stuff because he kept losing, and then they found out that their enemy army was being bolstered by demonic forces. So they were trying to figure it out, and it was the son of the shogun. So that one was one of the really good ones I remember. The players really liked that one. And then it turned out one of our players was leaving, so he had his character sacrifice himself to save the son of the shogun, and they were able to get the demon out of him. Yeah,
He went out like a boss.
and he was happy with that. He was like, yes.
How about you?
Well, the first game that I ever played was a complete mystery to me.
The mystery of gaming.
Because
Mystery of
it
the
was
RPG mechanics.
Yeah, that.
Well, not only was it the mystery of that, it was a homebrew that I didn't understand any of the basic rules of like Nat 20 gives you Nat 20, Nat 1 gives you critical, like all that stuff. So the GM, it was not only a homebrew, it was his mind baby that he was writing stories about.
His brainchild.
So the problem was he was keeping the game mechanics a mystery from you guys rather than being upfront.
He was up front the first day, and then a month later we came back thinking it was D&D rules, essentially, or Shadowrun, because we were using the 10s, and mostly, and it was definitely a mystery, and he was trying really hard to make it a mystery. And, like, how did we get on this island? How did we end up with all these different things going on? How did we get into adult situations? And he was trying so hard to please us and to keep the game going, but he still refused to let anything bad happen to one particular character.
Was it an NPC or
Yes.
a player character?
It was an NPC.
That was the GM's player
Yeah.
character. He just didn't want to tell you that.
Yeah.
That's never a good thing.
Yeah, it was never a really good thing. And so I was learning for the first time and trying to figure out, what the hell am I supposed to do here? And the last game I remember playing was, our particular group were very perverted people to begin with.
That's no mystery.
Interesting qualifier.
Yeah, and so we were always talking about, like, can we say bad words?
Yes.
Depends how bad.
This is NC.
It's adult. You
Okay,
can
cool.
say things.
Fuck yeah!
Yay! So we're gonna get into a very sexual adult area, which is my first game.
Don't
so
worry,
it's
I'll
very
put a
weird.
disclaimer on it.
Okay, cool. Where
I click yes.
most of the time we were just talking dick jokes throughout the entire game,
That's
and
normal.
dildo and all that
That's-
stuff. And so
That's
it
an
was
average
my
gaming
first
session.
time.
That's our Sunday game at the mall.
Right?
Yes.
But it was my first time, so I was enjoying everything that was going on and all this stuff. And our GM was trying so hard to keep us there.
Trying to pull you back into the story.
he made... Yeah, so we're like trying to figure out the mystery of what's going on, and we finally get to the cave where there's like undead skeletons, and we befriend one of them, and I got to keep the head, and it was like we were really getting into this story. And then all of a sudden, he made a cave of dildos. And that was the last game we ever played.
That's not a mystery.
Nope. It was a mystery to me on why he thought that was a good idea. But
I think the mystery was he didn't know his audience well enough to probably gauge how to pull and play.
That would work well with a group of adolescent boys.
yeah, and
he was an adolescent boy.
he was an adolescent boy.
Uh-huh.
He was the youngest out of all of us, and he was playing with a group of girls. Not only was he playing with a group of girls, all of us were different ages, and there was a mother-daughter duo. And a mother-daughter,
the greatest mystery.
Yeah.
No.
And then, so it was like mother-daughter, daughter-girlfriend, me and Stacy. And
he picked the wrong audience for that.
But we were all of us were just going after the perverted dick jokes and being really perverted and
you were
raunchy and enabling and doing all these different things, and we were having a fun time. But the moment he made a cave of dildos was the end of it.
He was trying to get into the spirit.
He was trying, and then he went too far.
It's no mystery why that
It's the
ended.
cave
When
of
you're the
Dilholio!
When you're the GM, you're supposed to be the one who tames the dick jokes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Bring it back.
Let's stay on track.
Stay in the narrative.
And the fact that was my first real experience.
Wasn't that like a My Little Pony game too?
No.
Thank goodness. That
I know, right? That would be even
There's
worse.
one more tag.
That would be My Little Pony.
Oh my god.
See, the mystery is, and you came back to gaming.
Right?
Actually, I came back to gaming because of My Little Pony.
Yeah.
I hate My Little Pony, but a friend was GMing it, and me and the dude who was the homebrew GM were playing ponies, and that was such a fun game. I didn't know it was going to be fun.
I just
and
want
it
to say
was.
with air quotes, playing ponies.
So yeah, that's the only real mystery of me trying to figure out what the hell is going on.
Okay, well, for me, I would have to say, in regards to mystery and RPGs, I always like an RPG that has a mystery or something that, like, it's not just all murdering hobos. It's not, like there's like we came across something, but what does it mean? And you have to. No, just like in general, like, okay,
You
if
found
say
green slime in the barrel.
Yeah, exactly, that was,
okay.
we have an idea of who caused that, but I don't know for sure, but pretty damn sure. But say for example, let's see, let me try and find a specific. Okay, so like in one of our other games, we have a mystery of we have to find this gnome who's been kidnapped type of thing. So we have some clues as to where he might be and stuff, and we're getting more clues. And we got even more clues because when we didn't have all of our players, we took a little side adventure with the ones of us were there. And I found out stuff that probably was, as the GM said, would have learned much later in the adventure.
It would have been like 4 chapters down the line, and she found the secret thing.
And I'm like, ha! So now I'm getting these little bits and pieces, and my character is trying to solve the mystery of where these pieces are, so that she, of course, can steal the item for herself. But hey, I mean, it's part of her. She wants to blackmail. Doesn't mean she will. She wants to steal secrets and stuff.
She's Miss Scarlet?
No.
Essentially?
Yeah, sort of, but not, in charge of a brothel.
No.
But more, and it's not necessarily. I just
more
like
the spider. From
my
Game of
character
Thrones.
is all about finding out
Knows the secrets. Doesn't need to give them away.
Doesn't necessarily have to use them, but will use them if she wants to.
Because of course, in Daggers of Freeport, she's a changeling.
I'm a changeling bard.
Yeah.
See,
Who's
that's
one of their
also
personas is a forger.
nice.
Oh, excuse me, wrong accent. He's Irish. So, as I say, so there's a bit more of a look to it. His name's Crooksley.
That's like one of the things that's fun about mysteries is like when we were playing Rollmaster and we had to try to figure out who the ultimate bad guy is. Like, you're like, okay, that's a minion, but who's the guy? It's like in those police procedurals where you're like, who's your supplier?
Yeah.
And it's like, who's the real bad guy?
Who's the real mastermind?
And you have- He's really good at that. He's really good at that.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I like
And mystery shows are fun too. Like one of my favorite shows, and I'm rewatching it, is Psych.
Yes.
Mhm.
And
So good.
the little mysteries.
I like the mysterious item. When you find an item,
Ooh.
and at first it seems unassuming, but like somebody keeps it, and then it maybe has a power or something. It proves something that it's important, but you don't know how important.
The whole time
And
you've been
it-
carrying it around.
And it could
with
just
you.
be something random, or it could be the MacGuffin that informs the entire campaign. You never know.
Yeah.
And you
So-
had it the whole time.
right. You had it the whole time. Where you figured it out.
I love
There's
it.
no place.
It's like I did that in one of my early D&D games when I was running in high school.
So 800 years ago.
Yes, a long time ago.
in Elf's Age.
The party was going along, and in one of this battles, the game's thief lost his hand.
Oh, that's
And,
rough for a thief.
critical hit. It almost killed him, and I said, "Okay, well, I'll let your character survive if you lose a hand or something." He was like, "Okay, that's fine." And so then later on, like several months later, after playing, they defeated a powerful enemy and got a hold of a treasure hoard. And in that treasure hoard was this old desiccated hand.
A hand of glory.
And
Oh, no, better.
the thief was drawn to it, and something compelled him to pick it up and attach it to his severed wrist, and it adhered itself to his wrist.
Oh.
And he was like, "Oh," and everybody was like, "Oh," because it was all old
Yeah,
and desiccated.
I'm like,
But when it attached to his
yeah.
wrist, it regenerated and became like a normal hand. So he was like, "Okay." And so for a while they went like that, and everything was fine. And he started exhibiting mysterious powers over time, little by little. And then one day, the thief woke up. He was like, "I know where there's a treasure hoard with some of the greatest treasures known to man." They were like, "Okay, what are we going to do?" And he led them through this treasure hoard. It was very, very tough. They were already starting to become high level at this point, but they finally got through. And it was this massive treasure hoard. And they were like, "Yes, we can retire now. We're good." And the thief ignored all the treasure, went over, dug through the gems, and came up with an old rotted orb thing in his hand. And moving on its own, the arm that had the hand attached to it moved up and ripped his eye out.
Oh.
And he put the other one in its place.
While the other players are
And
probably
all
going,
the other players are like, "What is going on? What is happening? We don't understand what's going on."
Is there a god
what-
being reborn before you?
What had happened was he had found the hand of Vecna. And then eventually, as over time, it took him over, and they led him to the eye of Vecna. And then once the hand and the eye were present in the same person, Vecna was coming back.
God.
And what had happened was right before that, the player who was playing the thief had told me he wanted to play a new character.
Ah.
So
See, that's
what I did.
beautiful
I had-
when
right,
timing
he
works
turned-
out.
He turned his thief character over, and that character became Vecna, who was the high level bad guy that they were going to have to fight. And so then he made a new character, who was a mage
Awesome.
that came in. And,
So that way you get more management to fight that.
Mhm.
But that's awesome.
So how about
oh, go ahead.
how about you? What
I was
do
going to
you-
say, for mystery, I'll bring it back to the meta level of the running a good mystery as a GM is a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Because you have to make sure to give your players a good mystery, but not pigeonhole them in the mystery. So there has to be like 3 paths you can go in the mystery. So there's the way you would do it, the way your players are going to screw up,
choose
and
your own adventure.
no, the way that they're going to Scooby-Doo through that shit. And then there's going to be the Buffy school of mystery. which is where a impartial NPC comes by and walks the children through this, and so they get through there. So that way, as your players inevitably bump off one method after another, the mystery continues. That and it has to be sort of Murder on the Orient Express. No GM is ever going to give a player that kind of experience, so you have to be willing to meta a little bit, especially if you can have a player in on it. Right. That's the beautiful way. That's the first choice of where you want it to go, because you get that narrative control where you're like, psst, help a buddy out for a great story. And you basically have a player helping spotlight the story through to give them that cool ending. As opposed to...
How does that work, though?
It's easy. I come up and say, hey, Anaia, you know that character you're playing?
Yeah.
I think it would be cool if this happened. What do you think?
Ooh, okay.
And then we go back and forth on it, so that way you get what you want for the character and I get what I want for the story, so that way the narrative and the character story meet in a happy place.
Okay, so, but what if my character is like, we should go and do this thing towards what the GM wants, but the other character's like, we overrule you.
That happens sometimes.
If they overrule, here's a GM secret. All paths lead to that left road you wanted them to take. Doesn't matter if they go straight, doesn't mean if they go right. You throw an extra thing there and you continue on where you wanted to go.
Ultimately, they get to the destination. The means by which they get there can differ.
Just don't do the horrible things like the river washes out the road.
That's what my first game did.
There is ways to guide, and there's ways to railroad. Railroad sometimes has to be done. Because, let's be honest, any GM that's run a sandbox, your players will look at you and say, we don't know what to do.
You should only railroad if it's narratively interesting.
Yeah, if it's the story. So basically, narrative railroading would be I, as the GM, wanted you guys to go kill the dragon. You guys decided to go pick the flowers. Okay. While you're doing that, because this is one of my favorite examples, the fire dragon went to the gnome village that are the local healing potion alchemists and burned the place to the ground. Healing potions are now 200% gold more.
Yep.
And it's because of you guys.
Oh.
By the way,
that Thieves Guild contact that you were getting all that information from. Yeah.
It
got burned. Yeah.
Okay.
And then basically you're reminding the group of the reason why you should do these things is there's a real tangible reward risk. If you ignore a thing becomes a dangerous thing. So if in the game, our orc, the game we were playing with the orcs, if you guys could have chose to ignore the orcs coming down out of the hills.
That's true.
At any point you guys could have said, screw these orcs with hellish intent, we're going to go for something else.
Except for the dwarven cleric saying, kill the dwarf!
Well, if I was a bad character, I would have just left.
If the GM says an undead army is rising in the west and you guys decide to go
after the bandit lord
for 3 months, and then when you come back, that undead army has risen.
You now have
to deal with
the Night King who's raised all these villages between here and there, and their army is now insane.
But you have to also play your character.
Yeah.
Because, all right, depending if you're a group of all chaotic neutrals or something, they might go fuck them.
That's why
but if you have chaotic goods or lawful, hell, if you have a lawful good, fuck it, you're all going.
That's where session 0 comes in handy.
Yeah, exactly.
Where
and
you set the framework.
Exactly.
We have 2 lawful goods.
Yes, we do. But we also have no evils. And I'm a firm,
party harmony.
Ever since
Yeah.
I've played with my brother. I don't play with my brother anymore because he will play an evil character, and he will steal from his own party. He will just
make the rogue your accountant, and he's gonna steal from himself.
Yeah. But it's no, you're gonna play, and that's why if you're playing, and a character starts slipping in alignment, I'm lawful good, but I'm doing these horrible things. You're not lawful good.
You think you're lawful good, and you're the hero of your own villain story.
And depending on the class you are, if you're a cleric or a paladin, and you slip enough, you are no longer divine. You are no longer. You have different opportunities, but it's really not a mystery why your god isn't talking to you anymore.
So for me, yeah, that's my thing with mystery is A, don't paint yourself in the corner with a mystery as the GM. B, mysteries are insanely frustrating. Like Kelly, you run murder mysteries all the time. If one or two keystones are missing, think of that poor game where that player rolls a 1 when they need to find out the magic MacGuffin. How do you
need
fail?
that information.
How do you fail forward? You know how the murder mysteries do it? Bodies on the floor when the lights come back on.
Yep.
It fails forward into you failed to find the secret, but there's a body who will give you that secret, and that's the price you're paying.
But you also have to be willing to give a little bit more nudge or clue to make the mystery work.
Yeah, that's kind of what that happened in a game that we played. Some people don't, though,
and it's like, oh, you missed it, you know.
Yeah.
If you're just going in circles, nobody is going to be happy.
Yeah, that's like we were playing I was playing a Forgotten Realms D&D game where I was playing an elven paladin, and her backstory was that her village had been destroyed by orcs, and that's how she had become lawful good, because elves are not supposed to be lawful good. And
they tend to be chaotic.
Yeah, all the players in the game somehow missed the true evil behind what was going on, which was this magic sword that was possessed or whatever. And so we kept missing the whole thing. And so our GM had us fight some orcs, right? So of course, not only that, but the orc chieftain of the orcs that had destroyed my character's tribe. So of course my character's like, ah! And finally kills him. And then it turns out that it was the evil sword that he was wielding that was the true mastermind behind everything, but it needed a dead body to be fully formed to possess, which I provided for it.
You provided nicely. And sometimes that's the price, is fulfilling the mystery of the prophecy. Which, like all good mysteries, it was kept vague but specific. So that way, it's like...
And he used my backstory against me, because of course, what am I going to do?
He baited it nicely, and you played true to character, which is important.
Yeah. And what was really funny is when we were playing, and then I was like, oh, ha-ha, I've vanquished my foe! And then he's like, oh, he stands back up, and his eyes are glowing. And then I was like, literally, like in character, but also player character, I was like, no! It was really funny.
Nice. So, like, as GMs, people who play GMs, what happens if, like, you happen to get a group who likes to metagame?
If you play, now I'll throw this one out. This is the best metagaming experience because my buddy Dave called himself out on it. That you guys know me, I like to get narrative. So sometimes, yes, you all failed your perception roll. So I'll describe as a director off screen what's happened, this cool villainous moment. In the game, there are a bunch of rebels that captured a Moth's son. They searched him. They failed to find he had a bracer that he basically, binder to the wall, hid his bracer. And I described that while he's sitting there, there's a faint green light inside his bracer that he can barely even see, and he knows it's there. The group immediately started metagaming. And they're all, I want to roll perception. I want to roll perception. Oh, it's been a while since we frisked him. Let's frisk him again. Now, the beauty in Star Wars, you roll your good dice and your bad dice. And there's more than just success and fail. The dice have that's why they're narrative dice. There's success and failure that when you roll, fails negate successes. And then you have advantage, which is something good but not related to what you're doing. And threat. In the game, I was letting them keep rolling. By all means, keep rolling. Go ahead, guys. And as they're rolling more, I'm counting on hashtags how many threats they had. Now, they were on the planet Ryloth. It's a desert planet. It's got lots of horrible things. They, at one point, to the extreme level of metagaming, because the engineer realized they were sending a signal off the ship. He didn't know where the signal was coming from. The ship was relaying his comm message. So at one point, he's like turning off everything, including the lights. His key was, I turn off the lights, air quotes, because he wants to see the flashing light. Sure, you guys are on a desert planet. You've been sitting here for 2 hours futzing around with the equipment and this prisoner. You've got your cargo hatch open in the middle of the desert. All of a sudden, only one of them had night vision goggles. And I'm like, go ahead and roll perception. And everyone failed these rolls. I'm like, what are you doing in the dark? Turn on one of the lights. And one of the players actually said, okay, yeah, you know what? I'm tired of this. Let's turn on the light. And the second you do, you hear this metal on shell scraping on your hatch. And they do, and there's an accolade. That's that giant thing in Return of the Jedi and Clone Wars,
Clone Wars.
Yeah, it's got it looks like a giant praying mantis, and it was crawling inside their ship in the dark.
Tonight.
Yeah, unlike what we fought tonight. And basically
Less
they got
lizardy though.
They got to metagame as much as they wanted, but they paid prices for it.
But sometimes it's interesting how metagaming can, if done correctly, like done in the spirit of the narrative or the spirit of the game, how it can be amazing. Similar to how Fate runs.
Yeah.
So Fate is all about like involving metagaming into your story, and it's like that's going to happen because of this and because of this and because of this. Mm-hmm. But our characters aren't talking about that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
the
it's
core
just
mechanics
happening.
are meta.
Yeah. So
which that's cute. I've heard people complain about metagaming in Fate, and I'm like, that's the narrative.
Yeah.
It's because your character is this will happen naturally.
Yeah. Fate is you guys are telling a collective story, so
exactly.
it's not.
You guys are telling the story while watching it.
It's less turn by turn D&D and more of a narrate what happens.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think we're gonna have to show Gavin soon that oh sorry, I used his name. That we're gonna have to use
his name.
that it's D&D's more than just murder hoboing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's more than just
I'm
cutting down
learning
paper
the
targets.
hard way.
Get him into a social.
What do you mean?
Situation.
Because I've never played a character that's never been hit, that doesn't hit well.
You're a bard. You're all about playing the social game.
Yeah. So
Yeah, we haven't really been in a lot of those
It's
situations
almost
yet.
like where we are now is going to get us into a social aspect.
We're getting ready to go talk to the Duke.
The Duke.
So that's going to be your
So
homework.
it's one of those things where it's like I have to figure out how to play a little.
Oh no,
softy.
trust me, I've done that before.
Well, see,
and
don't
it's
worry about
difficult.
playing a softie. Learn your character's voice. You'll naturally do it once you find your character's voice.
Right now, her voice is good job, guys. You can do it.
That's important.
You can be the cheerleader of the team. Bards, that's like 90% of their job is to be the cheerleader of the team.
You are that character that's your support staff.
Yeah, and that's the thing that I'm slowly trying to accept.
Mm-hmm. But as you get a higher level, it's going to become more.
Colleges. I really want bard.
One more level and you get it.
I want it.
Third
And
level.
you also get Song of Rest.
I have that already.
No, there's
There's
something
a
else.
particular
Something
one,
that company. Yeah. But I think we've gotten off the topic.
Yes,
We
we
have.
have.
So
We digress.
we should probably
It was a mystery where we got off those tracks.
Yeah.
So that's going to be August the 13th, mystery. And that's a good place to wrap it there before we get lost in the mystery.
Down in the depths of the mountain, we dwarves spend our time forging powerful weapons, mining precious gems and metals, and feasting like kings. But after a day of digging for the next Arkenstone, this dwarf likes to come home to a package full of loot. Dungeon Crate is a monthly subscription box service forged specifically for RPG and tabletop gamers. Miniatures, dice, tokens, coins, maps, modules, terrain pieces, handcrafted items, RPG jewelry, and more are yours for only a few gold per month. You even get a digital crate along with a physical one as an added bonus. So are you brave enough to reward yourself with a Dungeon Crate? By Morden's beard, I hope so. DungeonCrate.com. Let the adventure begin.
Thank you for listening to the Creative Play and Podcast Network. And feel free to enjoy our other shows, such as D&D Journey of the 5th Edition and Scion Ragnarok and Roll, a Scion hero to Ragnarok story. Thank you for listening.